Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today is not a breed review, as you might have seen in the latest video that I did, the 𝘕𝑰𝑙. The reason why I can't do that anymore is because I'm not gonna say that I'm involved in the process, but I sit in during the meetings in the makings of the course, and during our playthroughs, so I'm able to give feedback along the way, and I've also just seen the horse, which is kind of the first reaction, is kind of what the series has been about before. So it felt unjust to make a video and be like, oh, I wish it did this, or pointing out things that I could have said in a meeting, you know what I mean? So instead, I'm doing something that hopefully you guys will find interesting and exciting. We are speaking to some people who are actually involved in the process this time. They're talking a little bit about the coats that have been made, the kind of thoughts behind the animations, and just what kind of has went into this horse to begin with. So we're combining it with me checking out in game and also speaking to these lovely people who are so kind to help out. And the horse we're of course checking out today is the Hanoverian, updated Hanoverian that I'm so excited about. And of course you'll see why in a second, and some of you already know why I'm so excited. But in general, I'm just really excited for a show jumping horse, because you know me, you know I love show jumping, you know I love my warm bloods. So this is just in general a very exciting horse for me, and it would have been even if I wasn't personally involved. So let's just get started. Let's speak to Lotta, who tells us a little bit about the coats and the model. Let's talk a little bit about the coats. We actually had a lovely woman called Kylie who made the coats for this horse, but she could not be here and did not have time to speak to us, sadly. But we have our in-house both in-question advisor and genetics horse nerd who knows everything and anything about colors. So that's why I would love to speak to you, Lotta, about the coats of this horse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome. While you can't speak on the very specific opinions of Kylie, of course, you can of course talk about the coats and kind of what your process in choosing the horse and what it's going to look like and stuff like that. So I guess let's just get right into it. Kind of, what was the biggest challenge of making this horse, do you think?
So when it comes to warm bloods, the biggest challenge is that all warm bloods looks the same. When it comes to the Hanoverian, that is like extra hard, because in the Hanoverian registry they kind of allow all warm bloods that fits into their standards. So you can find a Hanoverian and look at the parents, and the parents could be something completely different. And that makes it really hard to tell, like, this breed looks like this, because it could be a lot of different horses in there. Like they are accepting all of the good warm bloods into the breed, and then they call it the Hanoverian. But we decided to go for a jumping horse, so we kind of tried to model it after a jumping build on the horse.
Was there a specific horse you guys looked at, or did you look at multiple, or was there a specific one?
We looked at multiple. There's a couple of famous horses, I can't remember the names, famous jumping horses that we modeled them after. One of them had a very sway back, and then it kind of, or it had a very high butt and a bit of a sway back. So we started with that, and then the animator started to tell us that the horse has too high butt, and it always looked front heavy in all animations. Could you please just lower the butt? So we did that.
So you kind of said that it was a jumping breed, and what kind of characteristics stand out for this horse, like in conformation build? What defines it?
Yeah, so if you compare a dressage horse and a jumping horse, you can see some, like, the horses are building muscles in different ways. Like, the skeleton is the same, but the way that they are building muscles differs. So if you look at a dressage horse, they usually tend to be very round, and they have round butts and very round necks and a lot of muscle. But if you look at a jumping horse, they tend to look a little bit more athletic and a bit thinner. And for example, on the croup, it tends to be a little bit more pointy, not so round. And the neck tends to get a little bit thinner as well in comparison to the dressage horses. Yeah, I think those are like the biggest points for us. But then it's we kind of have to look at different horses and try to find the different details on it.
I mean, it's very interesting to compare this model to the Dutch Warmblood, who is very much like a dressage horse, and then comparing the build and the posture and the stance for this one. It's so cool.
We actually took all of the recent Warmbloods and just lined the model up next to each other to kind of see, is it too close in resemblance? Can we tell the difference apart? And, in the end, I also did the comparison in the game where we had both the textures and the animation and the body. And then I tried the different warm bloods to see, does this actually look apart? And it does. So I'm really happy about that. But it's really hard with the warm bloods.
Yeah, I mean, even if you take two Hanoverians, they're gonna look very different. So it's hard to you gotta just pick one and go with that kind of.
Exactly. And then you can like take a Hanoverian, then you take a Swedish warm blood and put them beside each other, and you cannot tell the breed apart.
Exactly. I mean, it's hard to make a breed. It's not really a breed. It's just a stud book. So it's like, it's just a registry. Yeah, but I think you did a very good job. I love how the horse looks in general. And I also really love all the coat colors. Could you talk a little bit about like what is your guys' process when picking them? Because we ask the community for their opinions, what they want to see. How do you filter through that? How do you decide which ones to go with?
Okay, so we have a couple of different things that we look at when we decide the coats. First, we ask the community what coats they want, and we take that into considerations. If a coat has been requested more, we get numbers on this. So sometimes there's like 20 people asking for a black coat or something like that. So usually we get like black, gray from the community that they want those kind of colors. But we also have something I call a horse timeline, where I have lined up all horses where they are released, and then I kind of compare, do the coats resemble too much to something we have released recently? Because we don't want to release the same coats over and over. We want it to feel like there's difference to it. So we also take into consideration, okay, the previous breed maybe had a all bay horse with no markings. Maybe we shouldn't have an all bay horse with no markings on this release as well. And then we also look into the stud books on what is allowed. And for the Hanoverian, they had a very closed genetics stud book for a long time, where you only was able to have solid coats, like only like boring base, as we call them, and black and gray. But recently they have opened up for more interesting colors like Pinto and cream. But for the first release, we decided to go with the boring base, as we call them, because the opening of the stud book, it happened just a couple of years ago. So there's not so many Hanoverians that you can find out there with these interesting colors. You can find some small colts or foals, but it's not that many grown big horses. So we decided that for the first release, we're gonna go with the common ones. Then we can branch out and do more fun things with it.
So for this one, like you said, we started with kind of a basic setup, if you will, with a few basic colors. But I want to talk a little bit about the gray one, because I know you've been very engaged about that one, because it's a new type of gray. And obviously, I am very excited about it as well, for personal reasons. But even looking at it from an unbiased standpoint, I feel like it looks very different to what we have in game. So can you talk a little bit about like what is it that makes it stand out a little bit? Do you think, anyway?
So firstly, we haven't done a horse that is both flea bitten and dapple gray before, so that is unique in itself. Secondly, I mean, I think it just looks nice. Yeah. I think Kylie, she has really mastered to find the little nuances in the coats, find where all the details should go. She's been with us for a couple of years now, so she has really had time to train on finding all of the details. I think it goes for all of the coats that she made, even if they are boring base. They all look very, very rich and very interesting, and there's so much detail into these bay coats and black coat and the gray coats. So yeah,
I totally agree. I mean, she's done a very good job of making them all stand out and looking different. Well, I mean, a bay horse is a bay horse, you know, but they all just look really nice. Yeah,
I know. And it was really fun that we had 3 different horses that are actually based on employer horses. It is your horse, the gray horse, and then we have Chestnut with a little bit of a darker mane. That is one of our QA analysts' horse. And then it is also the dark bay or sooty bay or whatever you want to call it. That is another QA analyst's horse. So it's really fun. And when we get to base it on real coats, it's much easier to get all of those nuances and small details in there as well. It looks real. Yeah. I think what's really nice about these coats is that they look like real horses that real people own.
I mean, that was something that I thought about as well, because like like for my horse, I mean, a gray horse is hard to make really stand out in a way, but they all have so many details and there are so many like unique dapples or spots or whatever. I mean, she really nailed it.
One thing I really like about the gray one is
that's what I was gonna say.
She has a white head with a blaze on it, but you cannot see the blaze except for the little pink dot on the nose where you can slightly see the skin showing through.
Yeah. It just looks so good. I want all of them. Like I'm buying all of them upon release. There is no hesitation there.
That's great. Yeah, I'm also very, very proud of Kylie. I think she has grown so much since she started here. It's truly amazing to see. Like everyone who's working with the horses, their growth these past years have been amazing.
Yeah.
They keep like triggering each other to be better and better and better.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's really fun.
I mean, of course, we want to say that our last horse is the best, but I genuinely think that this Hanoverian is probably one of, if not the best that we've released, just from an animation standpoint, and like the looks and the details of the coat. It's just such a strong performance, if you will, from everybody involved. So Kylie made the coats and she made the horse. Could you explain a little bit about how that process works? Like what has she done basically?
Yeah, sure. So the horse artist, the 3D artist that works on the horse, they do everything from the model to the main styles to so they start with the model. We have a base model that we use. You might have noticed that some horses can share the same textures nowadays. That is because we standardized the model last year. So they take that base model and they shape it to the horse. And then we have a couple of standard hairstyles that they fit to the model, and then they usually create a new unique model for the hair, or they reuse something, and sometimes there gets to be some extra hairstyles in there as well. And then they do grayscale for the horse, so that is a texture that is just black and white basically, where they do a gray horse, where they add all the fur details and all the wrinkles and all the muscles and all the shine, all the shadows and highlights. And when they have done the grayscale, they start to do the coat variations. And they do this with something that we call gradient maps. It's a kind of a filter that we use in Substance Painter. So we can color the grayscale with the help of a gradient. So we can tell it like, okay, so the darkest colors, they should be black, and the mid-tones, they should be brown, and the lightest ones, they should be yellow. And this gives the horses like a very nice color to them. And then we kind of mask out, so the legs should be black, and the hooves should be gray, and the mane should be black, for example, for a bay horse.
Very nice. So it's kind of interesting how it's like, I mean, all the coats look very good and look very, it looks like they're, all the shine and the highlights and the shadows are made for that specific horse. It's so interesting how they're all technically the same, while they still look so different.
I think the shine is actually very important for horses to tell them apart. When you take a photo of a horse, you get different shine every time you take a photo. But for our horses, if we put the same texture on the two different models, it can actually be hard to tell them apart. But if you start changing how the shine is over the body gets like an entirely different look to it. It's like
an illusion.
Yeah, exactly, like an illusion.
It's fascinating to see, because I mean the horses look so rich in detail. Well, if you were to completely strip away the coats itself, I feel like there wouldn't be as much definition, I'm assuming. Like in the actual physical model, you don't have that many like muscle definitions and stuff. It's just like, it makes it look like that, and it really brings it to life. I mean, like this one is very shiny, which I really appreciate it as like a sport horse, and I mean, I'm assuming it's supposed to be like short clipped and really, you know, well groomed and stuff.
Someone has really stood in
someone has spent a lot of time on that. So it's great to see how that shine and the highlights really bring out the personality and the life of the horse. It makes it look so good. Yeah.
I think it's also important when we do these kind of competition horses that they are a little bit more shiny, because when you take your horse to a competition, you do groom it for hours before to make it look the best.
Yeah. And then they roll immediately and it's all undone. So ungrateful.
Yeah.
Speaking of coats, I guess then, if we have this base set of coats, if you can make any other coats in the future. Not saying this is what's going to come to the game, but just from a personal like opinion, what would you like to see?
Yeah. So, like I said, there are more colors allowed into the registry of the Hanoverian, but we haven't made them for the game yet. So, I would really like to see some pintos, and I would love to see some cream in there, maybe a plumino or a buckskin, or maybe even a double dilution. So, I would love to see some of that in the future of this one. I would also love to see more types of gray, because gray horses can be so different.
Yeah.
So your horse is kind of more to the white side. It would be interesting to see more of a classic dapple bay as well. No, dapple gray. It's actually a bit hard because some of the horses, they look so good and there's so many coats one due to them, but we don't have coats releases that often that we can get out all of those horses. I know that very many people have been asking for more sport Frisians, for example, and we really want to do more sport Frisians, but it's also like, should we have them now or should we have them on the coat release later this year? And then we release new horses and we're going to do new coats releases for those ones.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Well, thank you so much for speaking to us about the coats of this horse, Lotta. I really appreciate it. And I hope that everyone who buys one in game is going to enjoy them as much as we are, because they look amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And here they are. They are so pretty, and I love these horses so much. And of course, even though we've spoken to Lotta, we will of course still check out all the coats in game. So let's get started. Like Lotta said, the coats themselves, or the horses themselves, are quite limited on what they have so far, like what is registered in the breed. So that's why the basic selection is fairly, I don't want to say boring to base because I feel like that does it unjustly, but that's kind of what the horse is anyways. That's kind of like the thing with warm bloods. I feel like there's a lot of boring bays out there. But it makes sense for this breed. It doesn't have a, like Lotta just said, there's not a ton of different colors registered. So this first selection here is kind of the basic colors, but in my opinion, I think that Kylie has done such a good job at bringing out like the uniqueness of each one. Like for example, this one is a remake of the old Hanoverian, and I mean, what a glow up, first of all, with the like solid bay. I'm very excited about this coat because besides the star, if we're looking past the star, it also kind of looks like one of my horses. We call him Buddy. And he doesn't have as much of a star, but he has some white hairs in his forehead. So this is, I'm gonna be putting all these, like, don't worry, I'm gonna buy all of them. But this is one that I'm really excited about as well. Also just for the general glow up of the horse. This is lovely, lovely seal bay, and I adore this coat. This is so pretty. I love the 4 white socks. I love how rich it is. Like, in the shading, they look so shiny. They just look so, so nice. And then we have the first employee-based horse. So I will not be outing any names because I don't know if these people want to be known by name or not. But this is one staff-related horse. This is a lease horse of one of the employees. And I think she is beautiful. I think she's done, like, she's so pretty. I guess this would be like the dark bay classified, and I just think this is such a lovely rich coat with the dapples, the white sock, the lovely little white hairs on the lip. They're just so cute. In general, the colors themselves and like the coats just look so good, because even though like, oh, this is a bay, this is a bay, and this is a bay, I feel like they all just look so nice and so rich. All of them, they're so detailed and so shiny and just look so good. And that was our first staff horse, and here is the second one, which is also, funnily enough, a remake of one of the older Hanoverians, the old chestnut Hanoverian. So she's also gotten a very well deserved glow up. I love this chestnut color. It's so rich and so nice. I love the like slightly darker mane and the opposing socks. Is just so cute. And this snip here, I think it's just so cool how it like branches out into the nostrils. It's just, this is such a pretty color, such a nice horse. I also am a big sucker for liver chestnuts, and this one is just so pretty. I love how deep it is. It's just like such a warm and nice color. You can really see the dapples, this little details with the striped hooves, and the wonderful wide blaze. It just looks so good. Such a pretty color. Same thing with the black. A black can very easily be boring in my opinion, but I just think these horses look so good. I am such a sucker for these horses. It genuinely is ridiculous. With the small white socks and this nip and everything and the star. Oh, they're so cute. And then of course we have my favorite. Yes, already owned, whatever, sue me. This is my horse. This is Tia, and she is a flea-bitten dapple gray. And I was so honored that the team took her on as like a quote reference, because I saw when there's initial, like when a horse is presented to the team, there is a presentation is made, and they kind of line up the coat colors that they're planning. And sometimes there will be pictures of horses in game that already have that color for like a reference or as an example. But I just noticed that they had the color flea-bitten dapple gray and then said not in game or like not already made or whatever it was. And I was like, I have one of those. So would you guys be interested in getting some pictures? And boy were they, and boy didn't Callie get pictures. And I am so impressed at how close she got this horse to look to my real life Tia. I mean, I'm very biased opinion. I think this is a very gorgeous gray. I love the difference with the dapples, the slightly sootier knees, and her 4 white socks. And I will show you, because yes, we will be looking at this horse today. Sue me. But she even got like the details of the fact that you can see a faint blaze on her nose from when she was a baby, because she was born a chestnut and had stars, or like a star and a snip. And I am so excited at how this horse looks. She's gorgeous. She looks so much like her. Even the model wasn't based on her, but the model itself even kind of resembles her body type, which is so much fun and just like more than I could have ever hoped for. So yes, I feel like it's safe to say that I really love the coats of this horse. It's just so nice. I can't wait for more colors of this. Just so excited in general to have more of these horses, because I absolutely adore them. We'll take a quick look through the main styles. Nothing crazy, of course. We have the normal standard sport horse mane. We have the buttons. We have the little button braids. We have the button braids with like the hunter knot. We have the longer mane. Then we have these. You can't really see it from this angle, but these are like, this is like a banded mane. So you can see that it has like little, it's like little tufts. Pretty common in show horses sometimes to keep the mane on the right side. So it's a very cool, unique mane style for this horse, I think. Then we have the roached, the shaved, or whatever you want to call it, the long braids. We have the button braids with the long braid. And then we have this one that I was very excited about, that I actually asked about, if we could have button braids with a loose forelock, because I love this mane style on competition horses. Unfortunately, Tia in real life is very sound sensitive, so she has to compete with a bonnet on. Otherwise, I would have easily had this style. Yeah, so this is my horse in game. Absolutely crazy. I will not be calm about this. I really apologize. I'm sorry. I am just not normal about this, because it's like the best thing that's ever happened to me. Of course, there are some horses in game that like resemble horses that I've had, or there's even the dapple gray Belgian warm blood is actually one that I bought and named Tia, just because it kind of looks like her when she was younger. She was very dark and had the 4 white socks. So I was like, oh, cool, I can have a resemblance of Tia again. And then it's like, now I actually have her, which is bananas. And of course, I'm just showing you. I'm not saying you have to, just say it. Now, before we start looking at the gate, or I start showcasing the gates to you, I have another little interview segment, this time with Lotta again, and with one of the animators on this horse, Linnea. So I hope you enjoy this little chat. Would you guys like to just present yourself and tell me and the people watching at home what you do at Star Stable and what you have done with this horse? Why don't we start with you, Lotta, because you're on the left side of my screen.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so my name is Lotta. I'm the character creature art lead at Star Stable. My job is to guide all the horse artists and make sure that they keep to the same style, and I keep track on a lot of things about the horses. And it's often me that push for new workflows or new things that we want to add for the horses. Like, I've never done a horse for Star Stable, but like you can see all my fingers in all of them a little bit.
And is there anything specific that you've, what has been your role for the Hanoverian itself?
So for the Hanoverian, like on every horse, I'm the character creature art lead. And for the Hanoverian, I was also the equestrian advisor. So the equestrian advisor is a role that we have that circulates a little bit in the studio. So one person is the person you go to for like equestrian knowledge, like how collected should this horse be, or what kind of personality should this horse have. But it's a little bit of like being a mini director of the horse breed.
Perfect, thank you so much. And Linnea, what would you like to tell us about yourself? Present to the class.
Yeah, my name is Linnea, and I am a senior animator at 𝘲 Entertainment, and I have been working here for a few years. I have worked on a lot of horses and also characters and creatures of different kinds. And aside from animating, I also support the other animators on the team and share my knowledge. I'm very interested in acting, so right now I'm sharing some acting knowledge. And for this particular project, I was one of the main animators. On this project, I am also an animation driver, which is a role that we have to keep the project working well and make sure all animators are aligned and know what to do. And I was also in charge of the pre-production on the project, where we decide what we want to do with this horse. What kind of character should it have? What kind of personality? We talk about the riding style and everything that we want to do with this horse. And we do this together with the different disciplines. And then I take charge of the animation part.
That's lovely. That actually ties in quite nicely, because I was going to ask, like, what kind of characteristics would you like to tell the players about? What did you guys decide to do with this horse?
So it's actually a bit funny because every time we do a horse, we kind of assign them a famous person or like a character or something. So some horses, they had like Peter Pan or other characters like that. On this horse, we wanted it to, like, we gather all of this information from players on what they want from the horse. And from that, we could kind of take the conclusion that they want this horse to be athletic, and they want it to be brave, and it wanted to be a little bit goofy. So we were thinking a lot, like, and then it was going to be a jumper. So who would be a perfect fit for being like the famous person for this horse? And it actually ended up with a Swedish athletician whose name is Mando Duplantis. He does what's it called in English?
Pole vaulting.
Pole vaulting. Thank you. So he's quite famous in Sweden because he's like taken a lot of world records and stuff like that. And we thought that, yeah, he was a really good reference for the personality of this horse.
Yes, he can jump. And he's very nice. And he seems very funny.
Very high.
And he's also very expressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Linnea, you're since you're in charge of the animators, could you tell us how many people are actually involved in animating a horse? Not just this horse, but in any horse.
Usually it's 2 main animators and 1 animator supporting. Mm-hmm. And that was from the start what we had on this project as well. But then it was sick time for kiddos. So both me and the other full-time animator on the project had to be home for quite a long time. I was home for 3 weeks straight on this project. So then we had some help from 2 other animators jumping in to help out.
And how do you decide like who animates what? Because I know you guys animate the different gates. How do you decide who should animate what? Is it just who wants to do it, or?
Yeah, usually sometimes our schedules aren't completely lined up at the same time, so it can be we separate our animations into 3 different priority batches. So then we see which animators work during which period, and during that period the animators that work, they can decide between themselves which ones they are mostly interested in working on, and that helps a lot if people feel motivated to work, that they have the animations that they really want to work on.
Did anything like stand out to you when you were looking into making this horse?
So for some horses there are really strong expectations, and it's maybe a favorite horse for our player base, and for some other horses people don't feel as strongly about it, and then we work more on how we would interpret it and come up with how we would work with it. With this one, we actually didn't have the player feedback when we started. So we started working on our own, how we thought it would be. And then we got the expectations from the players, and they aligned pretty much completely. And then since this is a very popular breed.
This is like the most popular breed in the formula that we sent out. It was like drastically more popular than every other breed.
So then it was super important to us to really listen to what do the players want, what do they expect, what would they want to do with this horse, and really, I think for me, I feel really strongly about our players because for many of the players, the game is very important to them, and it can be an important part of their life in some ways. And I think being able to give to them something that is really important to them and means a lot, I think that feels really it feels really important and really fun to be able to do that. And I think that was really fun part of working on this horse.
Like, there's a lot of things that always stands out from the different horses, but for this one we really wanted the jumps to feel and look good, and our jumps in the game hasn't been looking really great in a long time now because of the state machine that we introduced a while back. So there is some blending between the jump and the gate that comes after the jump. So even if we animate a really good landing, the landing never looks good. So for this project, we really wanted the jumps to look good and to feel good. So one of our animators really looked into how could we fix this? How could we make the jump look a little bit better? And he did some kind of magic trick. I think, Linnea, you know better about the magic trick than I do.
Yeah, he was. We have a lot of old constraints in our engine concerning the jumps. So he did a lot of research on what is actually happening in the jumps and just narrowing it down and trying to understand, like, what can we do working around these constraints that we have. And then he figured out how best to do that in Maya, in our animations, to sort of work around the constraints and get good jumps. Because that is, for me, for sure, one of the things that stood out the most researching this horse, that the jumps are absolutely beautiful. I could just look at the same reference over and over because it just has such a beautiful form, and it's just a joy to watch.
And it's the first horse since the Belgian that is like a real show jumper that we made. So it has been quite a while since we took that focus.
And it's also nice to see like the development from that horse to this now, because what is that? I think that's 2 years ago now. I think that was spring 2023, if I'm not completely misremembering.
And something that also stood out when we did the Belgian warm blood, we actually wanted to add a little bucking animation to it.
Yes.
But the thing was that we were also doing a collaboration with H&M, and we were putting their horse Alan or HM all into the game, and that kind of bucking animation that could kind of read into like, oh, the horse is either uncomfortable or the horse is like having a bad behavior. We didn't feel like we wanted to associate that kind of behavior with Alan. So we decided to pull back on that animation. And now when we're doing a show jumper again, and like I have seen people bug out the Belgian just to get that animation.
Yes.
So I was like, yeah, let's reintroduce this bucking animation to actually put it in the game for real this time.
So you don't have to do a massive workaround to try to get the horse to actually buck.
Yeah, exactly. And since it's supposed to be a playful horse, then it fits really well.
You touched on it a little bit, Linnea, that there are different prioritizations for the different animations. So where do you usually, which animations do you start with? Does it depend on the type of horse, or is it always the same, or?
It depends on the breed, for sure. We usually start with gait and then idle pose, but it depends. Sometimes we leave one gait for the for the prio 2, but usually gates are in the first prio. And oftentimes, if we have special animations, we oftentimes put them high prio. Sometimes rearing, depends on the breed.
It really also depends on the breed's personality. Like if there's something specific that we want to highlight about this breed, then that often goes into prio 1 as well, because then we want to spend a little bit more time on it.
Yes, and for this one, we had two things to think about, and one or a couple. We wanted to prioritize the jumps since it's a show jumper, and that's really the main thing we want to go for with this breed. But then we had some exploration to do and research to do before we could actually go to those animations. So they are prioritized high, but they are not like we usually do that we start with them. So we had to wait with them until a bit later. And also we started this production before Christmas. I think we had it was 2 weeks before Christmas that we started. So we had a bit shorter time on the first match. So we just went for the gates and the idle posts.
And Lotta, as the question advisor, could you tell us a little bit about like what was your aim with presenting how this horse is kind of carrying itself and moving, especially during riding, since we've talked about the jump already?
Yeah, absolutely. So like big thing about this horse was that it was a jumper. And when we do horses, when we do dressage horses, we look at how do this horse perform the different gaits in the different dressage competitions. And for a jumping horse that is not in a dressage competition, we wanted to kind of see, okay, but how are they actually using these gaits in the show jumping areas? So for this horse, the canter and the gallop, that's the kind of gaits that you use when you're jumping. So we wanted these two gaits to feel like the horse was actually running around an area and jumping over obstacles. Then we have the fast gallop, and that was a little bit harder because you don't usually do a really fast gallop in the show jumping area. So we were kind of peeking a little bit into the eventing and the cross country, because there you have, it's also like a kind of a jumping activity, but there you have horses running on like the top of their, how do you say, it's top of their lungs.
Yeah, yes, yeah, like at the
full speed, maybe.
Yeah, full speed ahead.
Exactly. So we were kind of peeking a little bit there, and then we also had the walk and the trot. And for a show jumper, you use these two gaits a lot when you're warming up. So instead of doing these kind of collected and nice gaits like you have for the Dutch warm blood, for example, we wanted this to feel a little bit more relaxed, like the horse was actually warming up before the competition. So we have kind of a loose gait where we let the horse reach out with its head and walk kind of relaxed. And also for the trots, it's also a bit lower, a bit longer, to let the horse kind of jog instead of having the collected trot like we have on a lot of different breeds, like the English ridden breeds. Like for the Western breeds, it's a completely different way of riding. And to me, it's very important to have a good representation of all of the different disciplines. Like, it's easy to say this is the right way of riding your horse. But when you're looking at different horse people, everybody says different things. And for a game like this, I think it's important that we can represent different types of the sport. And like, since the horses, they only have the gaits that they have, we kind of have to specialize the breeds into different disciplines instead. So show jumping was it for this one. And then it was like, how do a show jumping horse move? And how do they use the different gaits? So that's what it landed on.
I think one thing that I do love about it and the way that it moves is that it's so open while still being so balanced. I think that middle ground is so it's such a fine ground and such a fine line to not make it look front heavy or super like unengaged while still keeping that kind of relaxed frame of it. And I just think it looks lovely. I really think you guys, like all of you guys, did such a good job, and I keep saying it, but that's because I am like obsessed with this horse.
I really like how it's how it looks and how it moves.
Yes.
And when you're seeing another player coming riding on it, like when you sit on it, the horse feels big. It feels like a big warm blood, and that's something I really like about it. And then when you're riding around and you see other people coming riding with this horse, it really looks nice.
Hopefully you found that little chat interesting. Of course, I will be showing the horse now for any of you who maybe haven't had time to check it out, or unable to play or whatever, or just want to see the horse in action. Overall, I just think that the model of this horse is so nice, like the type itself. It really looks like a muscular sport horse, but it's a completely different type of muscular to the Dutch Warmblood, let's say. But I just love the posture of it, I love the frame, and I also love how big it is. I'm actually not entirely sure how big it is in comparison to some of the other horses, but just in general, I just feel like it really looks like a big Warmblood, which I'm super happy about. I think the idle animations are really cute. I feel like it looks pretty chilled out. It has the little sidestep animation that the 𝖲 has as well. The little sleepy one, I think is very cute. I just think there's a really nice balance between like competition horse and a happy friend, you know what I mean? The gaits themselves are very based towards like a show jumper, and the frame it carries itself in. I think that the walk is very nice. I think it's pretty peppy. It's not super collected. It just feels big and engaged. It feels very active in general, and I think it is a very nice mover. Overall, I just really love the way that this horse carries itself. It's a little bit bendy in the back legs. I asked about it, and I was told that it's about a limitation in animation cycles. Like, you can't really stretch out the legs anymore without having them be super rushed. So that's why we have this slight kink in the hocks, and it doesn't really fully straighten out. But I'm not too bothered by it on this horse because I don't think it's hunched over in that sense. I just think this walk is really nice. It's relaxed, engaged, excited. The trot is kind of the same for me. It feels like a pretty relaxed trot, pretty bouncy, pretty peppy, but not in the same way that like a dressage horse has, like the Dutch Warmblood, for example, that has a lot of schwung and like super airy. This one's pretty flat, but still pretty strong and peppy. And I love the head carriage of the horse. It feels very open, like you're like warming up on a little bit of a longer rein or something. I just think it looks really nice. And I feel like it works both for like a lower level dressage horse and a show jumper, which I think is very fun. I think when you do the sitting trot, I think it just looks really engaged and active, which I think is very fun. I mean, just look at how cute this little, like how cute it is. It just looks so happy and chilled out. Nicely balanced and collected while still being like not as maybe high strung as a dressage horse. I think the difference is very well made between, let's say, this horse and the Dutch Warmblood, because the Dutch Warmblood is a pretty extreme dressage horse. This is a pretty extreme jumper, which I think the differences have been made very well and very clear. The canter is so nice. It's so light and flowy. Really just feels super balanced and peppy and strong. Again, love the head carriage because I love how like open it feels while still being very balanced. It feels like the canter is uphill. It's a really nice carriage, and you have some really nice moments, really like nice floaty picture opportunities, if you will, like some very nice hero poses, and it really just looks like it's well balanced and put together, which I really appreciate. Like the head carriage is probably one of the favorite things about this horse for me. It feels so nice and well balanced. The head and neck position really does a lot for a horse, and I think this horse is a very good example of that. It just looks it helps the overall picture and the overall feel of the horse, so I think that's very well done. The middle canter is, again, very nice and like balanced. That's one thing for me. Okay, again, comparing to other horses, but that's all I can do. The Belgian Warmblood that, funnily enough, started these breed review videos and has now transitioned into a breed showcase, which is kind of a full circle moment. But the Belgian Warmblood is one that I adore the middle canter on, and that I use like all the time when jumping, or if I'm role playing with some friends for an event or whatever. It's like riding lessons, like in riding lessons and stuff. When jumping, I will always use the middle canter on the, or like the slow gallop on the Belgian Warmblood, because that one's actually nice and airy and open and balanced, while the collected canter feels very hollow and flat. But on this horse, it's just like the collected canter feels very strong and powerful. It's short and collected and like a lot of oomph. And the middle canter feels the same, but just bigger. I just feel like it's not losing its shape. It's not going super fast. It just feels nice and balanced. There's like a light seat in the rider. It just looks very positive, which I adore. And same thing here. There's some really nice moments that you can capture of this horse. And I feel like it looks good in most poses, in most like moments, if you will. And that's something that I really, really appreciate. And one thing that I really, really appreciate as well is that the full gallop also feels pretty like balanced. It's not a case of the horse is like just taking off. This actually feels like it's running, let's say you're riding a finish to a final jump and a jump off. Like you're really pushing and going for it all, but the horse is not like running completely empty. Like you see how powerful it is and how long the stride is, while the head still is kind of going forward and like it's moving through the body. It's really pushing through. I adore this extended canter. Like it just looks so good. Like look at that stride length. That's cool. Oh, that's a little bit of a funny bone there, but whatever. This horse does push the limits of the rigging and the animation quite a lot, to be honest, which I've been informed about, which I think is so cool because it helps a lot, and I think it does a lot for the horse. Like the way that this horse really takes on the stride, I think it's super cool, and it just feels so fluid and nice. I've been obsessed with riding around on this horse and just like doing races and stuff, just because it feels really good in all gaits, really. And you know, I pick with that. Maybe it's just because I gotten used to it, I don't know, but I really don't think so. I just think it looks really good, which I'm very happy about. Backing up is of course not a high-brow animation like Linnea spoke about, the sections and stuff, but I think it's a fair enough smooth animation. The horse just looks focused. Then we have, let's check out the rear. I think it's a pretty cute rear. Like it's nothing super fancy. It kind of rears up pretty nicely, maybe a little bit from the head, but I do think it looks really cute. I think this is a pretty cool moment, I think. Right? Like if you have a balance, it feels cool. It rears pretty high, but not super long. And I think, I mean, it makes sense that this horse doesn't do like the Mustang or like 𝘲 or whatever, because hopefully these horses shouldn't be spending as much time on two legs. Let's check out the jumps, of course, because this is a jumping horse, and boy do I have fun things to show you now. As usual, we will skip the collected canter jump, or the trot jump I mean, and go straight into collected canter. Oh my god. This horse just jumps so nice. I have to give credit to the animator who animated these, because I think he did such a good job. I'm so impressed at how this horse jumps, because that's of course one of the things that you really hope for in this breed, and it was supposed to be a jumper. But like, look at how nice the shape is. This is nice and relaxed in the collected canter jump. It's just like really chilled out, but how it jumps through its shoulders, through like its legs, and how it really just like opens up its withers and like the neck. Such a nice curve. Yes, in this jump it's like pretty loose in the front legs, which is kind of, I think, fine. Like this jump is not putting a whole lot of weight through it. I kind of messed the best pose there, but whatever. But still, and then it opens up so nicely and just jumps so like airy. I really hope, I've seen that a ton of people are of course very excited about the jumps for this horse, so was I, trust me. But when I saw these jumps implemented for the first time, I was like, holy moly, I could not believe it. Same thing with like the middle canter jumps. Just looks so good, so nice. Like look at this, look at it, like knees to nose, just so good. Again, yes, there's a little bit of stretching going on here, but that is, like I said, because we're kind of breaking the limitations of what the rig can handle, and I think it's worth it. You know what I mean? I'm not as distracted by this as I would have been by not opening up the shapes as much. I just think it looks so good. The jumps look so smooth and powerful. I can like feel the feeling that this jump would give me, and it's amazing. I just think there's gonna be so many fun photo opportunities. I can't wait to see all the pictures on Instagram. Again, like just nice, cool action shot in the middle of the jump here. Such a nice frame. Just opens up so nicely at the end of the jump. I mean, how freaking cool is this jump? Like, that's the thing. I'm like obsessed with this horse and the way that it jumps. It just looks so good. The shape is so nice. I know I keep talking about it, but like, that's obviously, this was a massive part of this horse because it is supposed to be a show jumper. Like, this is what it's all about, right? This horse is supposed to jump like this, and it just does it. It really does it so well. And like, even if the gates would have been so bad, I wouldn't have cared because this jump is amazing. And I mean, how the way like it opens up. Yes, the character doesn't look great, but that's a whole separate project. Like, I mean, look at how cute this face is. Look how adorable. Like the ears pricked and just like super attentive and ready to go and just like, oh, there's so much power in this jump, and that is amazing. I'm obsessed. I'm so obsessed with this horse. Can you tell? Watch. We are now level 7, and of course we are then showcasing special gate, which is just like on the cell phone site. It's the bounce jumps, and I'm really happy that they're making a comeback. It's really fun to have another horse that can do it. I think it's such a cute special gate. It's a little bit hard to time sometimes, but I will put that down to be a skill issue. Oh my god. I think it's such a cute animation. I love doing it. Such a fun animation to use when taking pictures or role-playing or whatever. Really cute move. I hope that it can be incorporated into more hosts in the future because I just love doing it. And then of course, like mentioned, we also have the move, which is the bucking. Yeah. I think it's kind of cute. Gives a bit of character. Also gives some fun photo opportunities. Also doesn't look too bothered. We're just like playful. Way too much energy. Just in general, I think this horse is so nice. It looks so good. I love it. So to sum it up, I'm obsessed with this horse. Obviously, the coats are gorgeous. I love how they're simple but also just look so nice. Of course, I'm obsessed with having my own horse in game. Like, it's the biggest honor you could ever imagine. I'm so grateful. And if you guys decide to buy this coat and maybe take some pictures, feel free to tag me. I'd love to see them. I'd love to see what you name this horse. I of course have named mine 𝖲, but nobody's surprised. I think she looks so good. The horses look so good. The animations, the jumps, just like everything about this horse has me absolutely in love. Hello. My own recording censored me, and apparently it cut me off and I didn't even realize. I realized now that I was editing. Apologies. But I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then hopefully I will try to do the same thing for the next horse. So please let me know. Leave a comment, leave a like on the video, and please subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next video. Enjoy the horses and have a great time. Bye!